Hi everyone, it's Tasha, and welcome back to my art channel. Today, the prompt for the project was pick a card, any card. And that simply meant to find a deck of cards and pick a card to make as your focal point. I decided to use the Queen of Hearts and using my normal collage medium. So if you're interested in seeing what we came up with, please join us. Let's get started. So the first thing I did was, of course, pull out the Queen of Hearts and then find some corresponding papers that I thought would look good in the project. I usually apply just plain white gesso to the page, but because I knew that I wanted the colors to be a little more muted and in some instance resemble like a sepia tone, I decided to just tint the gesso a little bit and apply that to the page. And I don't use a thick layer, I just want to create a bit of a foundation for things to stick to. And when I do most of my collage work, I usually will pick 3 colors as my base paint colors. Sometimes I will do 4 if it turns out that I'm not getting the punch I need. But I find it to be less complicated if I just pick 3 colors and stick to those. So you can see that I left a space over to the right because I knew that I wanted to put the image of the Queen of Hearts in that area on a translucent piece of paper. And so I just wanted to make sure that I had a nice clear background to work with. And I'm tearing these pages into what I would consider to be fairly large pieces. Sometimes I get really persnickety and I make these very tiny pieces. This one I was more interested in larger, rougher tears. And I'm using my matte medium to affix these little scrappy papers to the page. Now I use a lot of medium. I've realized that sometimes I'm still applying the medium to the page and I haven't even chosen what I was going to put on there yet. But it holds the paper down very well, and I find that it seals it really well too when I'm done. So for some people, less is more, but for me in this case, more is more. And so I thought it would be fun to actually tear up some of the actual playing cards and use that in the collage as well. Kind of have them be a part of the story. But because of their texture, because they're a bit shiny, it did take a while for me to get them to stick. So if you want to incorporate a playing card or any other material that has a shiny surface, I would recommend sanding it down, trying to rough it up a little bit to texturize that shiny surface. But it did take me a while to glue those pieces down. I really had no idea where I wanted this project to go. I went in with a few concepts of how I see the Queen of Hearts, and you either see her the way she's portrayed in Alice in Wonderland, as this, really big, bold, angry person, or as this stoic figure on these playing cards. And I remember always thinking, if I was looking at the Queen of Hearts, how she always looked sad to me. She always looked like a woman who had a lot going on in her life and just carried a lot on her heart. And so I always had this sadness for her, because she just seemed like somebody who carried a lot on her shoulders. So when I came up with this prompt and really started to think about how I wanted to portray her, I really felt that that's the direction I wanted to go in, is to show a woman who, has a lot of heart and a lot of love to give, but just has a lot of sadness and just has to grin it and bear it to make it through, but still be strong. So I had this image printed on some tracing paper. I like to use this method a lot. It gives me the image and then I can build on top of it. And I did the same thing with the heart. I cut that out and then glued it down. So the first thing I want to tackle here is I wanted to get rid of the little icons that transferred onto the photo from my phone. So I'm just applying a little bit of gesso as a primer so that I can paint over it. And now I'm just going to work on her face. But do you see what I mean when I say it's just easier to have something already there to build up on top of? I could have drawn this figure, but it would have taken me a very long time. The proportions would have been off, and I would have given up and just gone with that. Or you could just start off with something that already resembles what you want to work with and then build on top of it. They do sell collage paper, which in essence is it's very similar to tracing paper. It feels more like tissue. But a lot of people who work with mixed media, who do a lot of art journaling, tend to use this collage paper quite a bit. And I will put a link for that as well in the description box below. I'm just painting her in. This was an interesting project to work on. I know that I kept thinking about the direction that I wanted to see her go. And it kept changing. I would feel pretty confident that I wanted one thing, and then as I just kept working, I was thinking, maybe I want to go this way. And even looking back on it now, too, there are a few things that I probably would want to do to add to it. What I'm applying now is a crackling medium, and I also got that on Amazon. I will put that in the description link below as well. But as I was working on the Queen's face, I started to think about how I wanted to represent that heart. Did I want it to be bright red? Did I want it to be just black? And to kind of illustrate that strength about the Queen that I was talking about, I decided that I wanted to have her heart look like it was breaking. It wasn't broken completely. Like you could see that she spackled it and kind of glued it to keep everything together, but I wanted it to look like her heart was breaking. So I'm using this crackling medium, and you apply it and you let it dry, and as it dries, it starts to give you that crackling effect. And so while that's drying, I went back to continue working on the queen to finish her face. I'm helping the drying process along. I put the crackling medium on fairly thick because I wanted some very defined, big crackling bits. The thinner you apply it, the smaller and more delicate the cracks are. But for a piece like this, I wanted the cracks to be very, very obvious. I'm coloring the collar in white, and I got halfway through the process and realized that I was using a gel pen, which was going to take me forever and a day, and decided to replace it with my Posca white paint pen because it's just much quicker and it's a very nice bright white. So I have a small piece of wax paper, or cellophane, I should say, and I have a bit of ink that I spritzed into it. And I'm using that ink now to paint in and fill in the cracks on that heart. So that ink is called a distress ink. It comes in a spray bottle, but spraying it can be so messy, and I want it to be a little bit more accurate. So I just spritzed a little bit into that little piece of cellophane and coloring in that heart. And I really had to play with this heart. I knew that I didn't want it to be red. So I came in with my black paint marker and started swishing that a little bit with water. I really wanted it to look like it was in so much distress. So I'll take this moment to remind you that if you like what you see, I encourage you to like and please subscribe to my channel. It's been a lot of fun coming up with different ways to express myself artistically, and I've been enjoying the entire process of sharing it with you. So if you have a moment, it just takes a couple of seconds. Just click that like button and subscribe. Please and thank you. So I found an inexpensive ball of acrylic yarn in my stash and started to apply it. I wanted to alter her appearance considerably, and I think that's why I decided to add texture. So the mistake I made is I thought that the tacky glue would dry clear, which it normally does, but on something fibrous like yarn, it doesn't dry as clearly as you'd like it to. So that's a good little note to make for yourselves if you find yourselves using tacky glue and something like yarn or thread. It may not dry as clearly as you'd like it to. I didn't know if I was adding these pieces to represent hair, if I was trying to represent a cloak, a veil. I didn't know what I was thinking, but I knew that I wanted it to be textured with yarn in this exact way. So you just go with it, right? And she needed a full lip. I don't know what took me so long to decide that, but this woman needed a full red lip. And so the thought that I kept having when I was thinking about what do I want this page to say, it was, she might be crumbling, but she is still a queen. And I decided to just go with that thought. We have to remind ourselves, we are going to fall, but we will get back up again. So I just used one of my stamp sets. And it just crossed my fingers that I would be able to get the letters straight. They're not perfect, but they still do what they need to do. Just outlining some pieces with that bright white gel pen. And there it is. Still stoic, but I feel like I get her. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that this inspires you to try a piece of your own and go do something amazing.